You think, oh, just miss that out. There's nothing important there. Actually, there's a huge amount of important information there. While the areas we're dealing with are fictitious, the way we get the information is exactly how I would do it when I go out on the boat in the real world. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to come along. If you do have your training almanac handy, or you've got it in the other room, run and get it. It will be useful just to go through it while we're looking at it on the screen as well. The goals for tonight, we just want to make the most out of our RYA Training Almanac and the awareness of all the information that is found both in this and other nautical almanacs and nautical publications. Now, the reason I wanted to do kind of this chat tonight was I quite often find that although in the course we show you where to find certain things, we do it kind of separately all the way through the course, because otherwise you're just getting bombarded with information when you're trying to kind of work your way through the different modules. Whereas actually, there's probably a lot more information in here than you knew about. So I thought, you know what, let's go through it from cover to cover and see what kind of things that we can use to help us in our kind of whole nautical, navigational, passage planning, tides, etc., etc. So yeah, focusing tonight on seeing what's in the RYA Training Almanac. In the side cover, I'm just going to go through the book while we go through the slides as well, so feel free to do the same. Just looking at that left-hand page inside the front cover, you've got the Northern Territories to the top, the Southern Peninsula to the bottom, and the Neptune Islands towards the east. Some of the major ports there, they're all labelled, and the page number in the almanac is labelled there as well. This is essentially looking at chart 3, your RYA training chart 3. And so it's just that very kind of first kind of nudge of, if you want to find information about somewhere on the chart, you could come to here, find out what page number it is, and turn to the almanac and find out a little bit more information. We can do something similar with the contents as well. We go across to page 2. Again, the whole way down here, we've got all the port names, their relevant page numbers. They're color-coded to how the book is color-coded through its different sections. And I always think, wow, this is the contents. If you're looking for something in a book, you quite often go to the index. This is essentially your index in the RYA Training Almanac. Let's say you're doing a question and it says you're outside Sandkey Marina, and you're like, I have no idea where Sandkey is, and you're trying to find it on your chart and you can't find it. That's okay. Just come on to the contents page here, search down, and we find Sandkey, and it's on page 84. And there we go. That'll show us where it is. Once we get to that page, we'll find out where it is on the chart. We can go back to our RYA charts and see where we are. So yeah, just want to just reiterate across these first couple of pages that we looked at that we can use these to find what we're looking for in the or within the RYA territories, or indeed in any area that we were using our relevant almanac for. Turning over again, what's officially page 2, we've got an introduction information page. Again, super useful here. It's almost like a forgotten bit of page. It's a bit blank. It's just mainly just black and white with a couple of bits of blue titles. And you think, oh, just miss that out. There's nothing important there. Actually, there's a huge amount of important information there, especially for those doing the Coastal Skipper Yacht Master course. That's because the whole first paragraph there is talking about the background information of the territories, which territories you need to do customs for, what the time zone is in each territory, how the territories are split up, and what IALA voyage we experience in each territory. And there's just a little caution there as well, and some thanks as well. But yeah, that top 2 paragraphs underneath that background information, if you haven't read that, read it after tonight and just get a real understanding of what we're dealing with the RYA territories. Then Well, I guess it gets a little bit lighter, but the next 3, 4, and 5, it's just some reference information. We've got the port, got the international port traffic signals. We've got distress and life-saving signals, and so I've got distress signals and life-saving signals. Yeah, just some good, useful information to browse over. There's nothing that's going to be, you know, oh, you must remember to come back to this. It's just mainly knowing that it's there, and that within our almanacs, it isn't just tides, tide tables, tidal atlas, that kind of thing. There is other information in here that we can utilize at any point during our kind of nautical journeys. I don't think it's in any of ours questions currently, but I do remember an old Yacht Master exam question, which was about the international traffic port signals. The answer's in the book. It's on page 3. It's not a memory test. You're just expected to know where to find it. And that's something that I just want to kind of make you aware of what's in the almanac, so that you then know where to get all this information from. Further reference information, pages 6, 7, 8, and 9, we've got abbreviations, light characteristics, and symbols. So if you're looking at your chart and there's letters there and you're like, I have no idea what that letter means, such as maybe you've got WMO. You see it written somewhere and you're like, WMO, what does that stand for? Come to your abbreviations page, find WMO, World Meteorological Organization. So yeah, we're not expected to remember what all the letters are. For instance, you've got all the letters in here for your seabed. We're not expecting you to remember every single one of them. R, W, D, C, Y, S, small f, big S. We're not expecting you to remember all them. We expect you to know where to find the information. And it's about coming back to the almanac for the abbreviations, but also coming here. If you look at a symbol, you're not 100% sure what it is, come to your almanac and look for it. Of course, in the real world, we also have chart 50 or chart booklet 5011 for the Admiralty symbols as well, which is a whole booklet full of symbols. So yeah, that can be really useful as well. Moving on, page 10 and 11, we probably don't utilize this too much. We certainly don't need it at day skipper level, but yeah, coastal skipper, Yacht Master, it's a bit more useful. It's basically just a couple of tables that does speed, distance, time calculation for us. And it's basically the distance that we travel is equal to the speed we're going times time. You'll probably remember that from mathematics back in school, but yeah, it's also done for you here. So yeah, just a good little bit of easy reference information. Then we've got the tidal stream atlas. Now, a lot of you have probably looked at the tidal stream atlas a lot. That's from page 13 to 25, all the different tidal hours. But either side of that, there's a couple of really useful bits of information as well. The big picture here on page 12, we've got all the tide levels of all the kind of major, well, it's got all the standard ports, but also some of the other major ports as well. So it's telling us the highest astronomical tide, the mean high water spring, the mean high water neaps, the mean low water neaps, and the mean low water springs for all these ports. And yeah, so just really good quick reference information if we were needing that when we're dealing with any kind of tidal height problems. We then have all our tidal atlas tables, which we definitely cover enough in the course. And then page 26, we've got a computation of rates table. Day skippers, don't worry, you don't need that. Coastal skipper, Yacht Masters, you do need that, and you will need to be using it for a lot of your questions within the exams as well. So yeah, there is, of course, a lesson on how to use it within the Coastal Skipper and Yacht Master course, which you'll either get to, or if you've gone past it and you think, oh, I never used that, pop back to it and yeah, just get practice of using that. What I'd suggest, if you can, if you've got the opportunity, try and photocopy and print it out so that you've got many copies of it to use, rather than you're going to want to use it quite a few times rather than ruining it with lots of pencil marks. It's something that we're looking to add on to our resources as well. So we've just got one made up today, actually. So hopefully that will be joining our resources section soon. Then again, another super important page, not just in the training almanac, but being aware that it exists in our maritime almanacs as well. Coast Guard information and weather broadcasts. And we've got it split up into the Northern Territories and the Southern Peninsula. And it's just telling us basically what Coast Guard is responsible for giving us the information, what weather broadcasts we'll get, when we'll get them, and further information about aerials that are used and different kind of broadcast frequencies, etc. So again, it's maybe not, I wouldn't say you need to come back and read this word for word. It's more a case of knowing that this is here so that when you are wondering, when's the next weather forecast? The almanac will tell me when the next weather forecast is. I just need to go and find the relevant information telling me all about the weather broadcasts. So yeah, we're not expecting you to know that the Southern Peninsula has its area forecast broadcasts at 0001, 600, 1200, and 1800 local time. But we do want you to know that this is where you can get it from. I just touched on a good one there as well, local time. That means that these broadcasts are always given in local time. So that would be 0600 Southern Peninsula time or 0600 SPDST. It wouldn't change. It would stay at 0600, whatever your current time on your watch is. We then get to our first kind of passage information pages. So I'm now on to page 29. It goes over onto the 30. And then it's also on page 68, 69 for the Southern Peninsula and page 95 for the Neptune Islands. Again, this is absolutely great information. It's kind of the information that you might have more associated with a pilot guide, but it's in our almanacs as well. And it's basically giving us information on how we can safely get from A to B and what we need to be aware of to get from A to B. So it's got coastal passage information. It tells us about tidal streams. It lets us know about specific traffic issues that we might need to be aware of. If there's certain obvious dangers, it might point them out, and it's going to point out other information as well. So yeah, if you've not had a read of them and understood how you can move and sail or motor cruise around the area, then yeah, it's worthwhile having a little read just to see kind of how they give the information and how you can then utilize it in your passage planning. So coastal skippers and yacht masters, these pages are going to be super useful, especially when you're doing your appraisal for your final exam. You're going to want to be looking at all 5 of these pages, I think, just to have a good read through and know that you've covered all the bases. Lights. So we're now up to page 31 for the Northern Territories, page 70 for the Southern Peninsula, and page 95 for the Neptune Islands. And this is just all the major lights. So all the lighthouses or other port directional lights or just major lights. They are all noted here. You've got the name of the light, the position of the light, lat and long. It tells you in words the color of the structure, sometimes using abbreviations, so you may need to go back to your abbreviations page, and also tells you the sequence and the characteristic. So yeah, a lot of these will be on our charts as well, but if you want to get more information about them, such as the color of the structure, the color of the lighthouse, because lighthouses can actually be different colors depending on, it's not given a meaning like our buoyage does. So then you might want to know what color it is, so that when you're out on the water and you're looking for it, it helps you distinguish one light from another during the daytime. We've then got our port information pages. Now I've just got Victoria here. We've got numerous ports as we know of. They were all back in our contents page right at the start. And these are the ones you've probably been into, even at day skipper level. We've probably been in and out of them a little bit, finding out various bits of information. And I just thought it was worthwhile just recovering what's in them. First of all, we've got the position of the harbour in lat and long. It tells us what chart it's on. Tells us where the standard port for that port is. And the little arrow tells us which way in the book to go. So we're in Victoria here, but the arrow here tells us to go to the right to find the tide tables for Victoria. Then it's got a whole bunch of information. So for Victoria here, it's given us a description about the port. It's suggesting an approach waypoint. It's got some pilotage notes. It tells us about specific tidal streams and heights. Talks about the lights and marks. Tells us the VHF radio channels for the area. The one in bold is the main one. And then the facilities, again, lots of abbreviations. So you might want to go back to your abbreviations page to see exactly what facilities it has. And that is going to be common wherever you go. This whole training almanac has been helped and made with the aid of the Admiralty. And they've done it in a way that is what we're going to find in the real world. So while the areas we're dealing with are fictitious, the way we get the information is exactly how I would do it when I go out on the boat in real world. And that's why it's so important for us to learn how to use these tools to the best of our disposal. So yeah, port information pages all the way from pages 32 all the way up to 96. I'm not going to go through every single one, just to make it clear all the information that we do have available. Tide tables, you've all probably been looking at tide tables. They expand from pages 33 to 91, not all inclusive, but they're in that kind of range. Just a couple of things. We've touched on them in the course, but just to reiterate them, top left-hand corner, the time zone. Tells you the time zone that tide table is in. It gives you the tidal times for every high water and low water. And the coloured numbers for the red and the blue for springs and neaps respectively shows you at what rough day we're experiencing spring or neap conditions. It doesn't mean that is the only time it's a spring tide or a neap tide. It just means that that's when we're in kind of neap conditions. We still need to check whether we're actually on a mean neap, or if it's bigger or smaller than a mean neap. So that's where we have to start looking at the range of the tide. Day skippers don't need to worry about that, or certainly not as much as the coastal skipper yacht masters do. But yeah, that's all your tidal information. These are what your tides look like in the real world, and just getting used to them. But yeah, just to reiterate again, the time zone is given in the top left-hand corner. I've shown Victoria here, but if I turn to a Southern Peninsula page, I'll just go to page 72, which is Hamilton Sound, and in the top left-hand corner it says time zone minus 0100. Basically, that's not that they're an hour behind UT. That's what we want to do to get from the time zone SPT back to UT. And it says that underneath it, it says subtract 1 hour for UT, or for summertime, add 1 hour in non-shaded areas. So it's already in SPT. And that will be generally the case in the real world as well. If you're getting a tidal, let's say you've got a British almanac, but you've got a tide table for Cherbourg, it will probably say in the top left-hand corner, time zone minus 0100, because they would be on Central European time, which is 1 hour ahead of UT, Greenwich Mean Time, and so we would have to take 1 hour off to get back to UT. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is the tide tables are generally in local time. We've got our tidal curves as well, various ones for each standard port. You've got the curve. Also on the curve, you've got your mean ranges given by the red line for springs and the blue dotted line for neaps, and that shows you a slightly different curve as well. So during neap and spring conditions, we want to use a slightly different curve. We don't use the one that's closest to the date in the book. We use the one that's closest to the range of our day. So that's why we need to work out the tidal range. And finally, right at the back, everything else in between was just port information, tide tables, tidal curves. So right on the back page here, we've got reference information. The top half, we've got a compass deviation table, coastal skipper, yacht masters. You're going to have to come to this every time you are given a compass course of vessel steering, or if you want to know what compass course to tell the helm to steer, this is your compass deviation table you'll need to come to. And in the bottom half, it's not something we need, but just bearing in mind that it exists. And we've got a distance off in miles for lights rising and dipping. And yeah, there's a really good lesson on that at the start of the courses as well. So if you've missed that, it's always one that you can go back to. But yeah, that's the table that tells us how far off we may see a light if it's just creeping over the horizon. So that was your RYA Training Almanac, and how I think you can get more information out of it than you probably were aware existed, especially the first half of that kind of chat. So yeah, hopefully that was useful. And yeah, if you've got any questions, we can answer them now. And then I'm going to go on and talk about real life examples.
Okay, Charlie, when the house bears about 270 degrees.
Information to work out our distance from the lighthouse and use that.
We might be perfectly on track, but if we're not on time.
Our echo sound is working, we can find a contour and follow it nicely into port.
Our left hand is pointing towards the center of the low.